the athletes. So why the Kenyan athletes are so good at the middle and long distance racing? Apart from the weather and the environment, and the local cuisines are influential. So through the cuisines, we'd like to study what kind of food can make the champions of long and middle and long distance champions. And today we're at a restaurant. It is the Today, we have also welcomed two guests from Kenya. One from the Confucius Institute, teacher from Confucius Institute in Kenya. His name is Lu Kai. Please introduce yourself to the audience of the CCTV. My name is Lu Kai. I'm a teacher at the Confucius Institute of Nairobi University. Also, I have welcomed a student from Nairobi University at Confucius Institute. And please introduce yourself to your audience. Good afternoon. My name is Peter. I study Chinese in Confucius Institute. In July, I just returned from China to have the summer vacation here. Today, not only apart from the cuisines, I would like to introduce you the national cuisines of Kenya. Also, I would like to hear the stories behind these cuisines. Mr. Peter and Mr. Lu Kai, can we have a look at this restaurant in Kenya, including other African countries apart from the menu? Apart from the menu, the guests may come here to choose the already cooked cuisines. Their taste may be different from the Chinese. First, the habits of dining is different. Knives and forks are introduced from UK when UK had colonies here. So the traditional habits are using hands. So when they begin to dine, we can see that there are some facilities for you to wash your hands. There are soups. So before lunch, we'd like to bring you to wash your hands. And this is the inner part of the restaurant. This is the main desk to fetch your meals. We have the grant from the cook, from the boss of this restaurant. But some of the guests do not like to be shot, so we'll avoid shooting the guests. Here we can see that at the restaurant there are already cooked dishes. And we can see there are vegetables, fish, and meat. Later we'll choose recommended meals. The major meals are the intestines of cotton and lamb, or also the meat. They say that at first we would like to take a camera at their cooking process, but say that they're the commercial secrets, so it is not convenient for us to shoot. And I'd like to ask you, there are so many dishes, and so which one do you like to choose? Let's choose 4 to 5 ones. And these are the local vegetables. It's called kundi. So let's first choose, and then later when we sit down we can introduce them. Fish, 2 vegetables.
Do we have to get the?
Should we get the dishes ourselves? So it is not automatic or fully self-help. That is also included.
Would like to have this kunde.
对对对
Okay, okay. Kyo. This one, kyo and the scuba. Yes, yes. One. Yes. Can we have it first? We're online. Can we have it now? Yes. Thank you. Okay. 你看那个蔬菜呢，它是放在专门的这个小盆儿里哈，一勺儿正好就是
The
一
vegetables
次拿过
are
来的分量。
put at the specific dishes and
we also
one
manager
spoonful of
would
it
also
in
like
a
to have-
dish.
What's this?
oval 这些内脏
怎么说
内脏 ovals
？Ovals.
Oval. It's ovals.
这个是羊的内脏是吧？哦。OK， 我们再应该选什么？
然后要选择那个还有那个鸡肉
鸡肉。
，yeah 就鸡肉那个鸡肉
And also chicken.
鸡肉 chicken 把这个嘛能没？kuku aku nak apa
Okay, there's no chicken. 没有鸡肉，只有牛跟羊。
那把这个羊
No chicken, only beef and lamb.
OK，
不是这些羊肉
羊肉是山羊吧？不是绵羊。
山羊肉不是绵羊肉
And this is goat.
然后再选个牛肉。
牛肉呢
选了2个
牛肉
Choose beef.
这个是服务员可以帮我们拿吗？还是要自己自助啊？
这个自己自助
得自己拿到那个餐桌上是吗？
You can
哦，那
help
我们还得
yourself.
分好几趟来拿了。
啊
Later also we'll spend.
这个就叫这个
肝儿是吗？
What things do you
这
fetch?
肝这个
Is it liver? Yes, it's liver.
不是牛肝
It's the liver of the lamb.
liver yeah 牛肝
Also, there are
Okay, so should we get some fish as well?
还有
there are liver of the cattle.
要来这个牛肉吗？
这个牛肉要不要一份？
看哪个是
来一份吧
比较经典的牛肉，是干的还是那个带汤的？
这个吧，这干的这个，对。
卢凯老师，你在跟当地人说中文。
Mr.
卢凯
Luca,
老师，这个中文太好了。
you're talking with them with Chinese, and your Chinese is so well.
换这个功能。
You have
在跟自己的国
forgotten
人说
to
说中文
to speak with your mother tongue, and you're speaking the Chinese with your nationals.
OK，现在可能场面不是特别有秩序哈，因为大家也比较饿了，很想赶紧吃到。啊，
It
这个
seems
是他们家
chaotic
特
in
别
this
有
restaurant.
名的
People like
就是
to have
鱼，很多人就是慕
quickly
名
to
过来
have lunch,
吃。
and
这些呢个头比较大鱼
this
都
is
是
the
非洲
fish.
鲫鱼，非洲大鲫鱼。它这
And they're
个做
the-
法好像有些是熏的，
They're from
然后再
Africa.
炖，然后有一些呢
Some
是
are
那个炸的时候
stewed
再炖。
after
我们现在选的这个
or
是
getting
椰子
smoked.
口味的，椰子浇
Some
浇
are
椰
fried.
子汁儿的一道鱼，是他们这儿的招牌菜。好。
This is with coconut juice.
Can you ask someone to help us to bring the food over the table, please? 他们来帮我们，我们可以做别的。好，那这边呢就是它
They can help us, and we can do other things.
Kachumbali， 这个沙拉里面就是
This is the
看有
kachumbali.
洋葱、西红柿，还有
There are
青椒
onion,
还有一些
tomato,
彩椒，这个
pepper,
对当地人来说
and color
就是
pepper.
经典的每家每
And
日
these
必
are
不
the
可少的一
classical
个沙拉。可以说呢
Every
这家餐厅它做的东西
household
啊都
would
是
have such
肯尼亚
salad.
人的家常菜，
So
对吧，彼得？
these are the common household
你们家里哈一
meals
般会做
for
什么样的
Kenyans.
菜？
一般会有这样各种各样的肉，牛肉啊、羊肉啊，还有鱼啊。
There are beef, lamb,
哎
and
他们会把
fish.
沙拉加到每一道的这个肉菜里面，我以为是沙拉
Why do they add salad to every
因为
dish?
一大部分都喜欢这样的吃啊。
Because most of them like this.
大家的习惯是吧？
对，
do it separately, and this is the habit of the people. After ordering the meat, and these are the main meals, and this is the national dish. So when it comes to Kenya, this is ugali. When it comes to the national cuisine of Kenya, ugali is a must-mentioned dish. Dish.
因为我们点的一下子菜比较多，为了想让大家看到更多的这个肯尼亚的传统美食，所以本来应该让我们
want to let you see more Kenyan cuisines.
帮我们端过来哈。好。
And ordinarily we just all help ourselves, but this time
喜欢就是稍微不快的节奏，就在慢节奏。
the waiter just help us to fetch the things here, and they. The daily lives are not so busy, so hectic. So it's on Friday, and people just listen to the music and enjoy their lunch. So there are. Sorry, I can just sit here. You can see there are. This table is full of dishes.
彼得，我感觉你越来越兴奋了。
Mr. Peter, you are excited. You're getting excited.
就高兴。
对，就高兴。
I'm happy when I'm excited when I see the dish, see the meals. So there are some appetizers when we have lunch. So what are the traditional cuisines? What kind of appetizers do we have in traditional cuisines? This is called samosa. So it's a special. The traditional national cuisine is samosa, but actually it's not a local cuisine of Kenya. Let's put it here, in front of you. Please introduce us. Samosa's origin. Samosa is from Arab countries. It's a kind of main meal. When you have tea, so the appetizers, the tea are for the appetizers. So we order tea. 3.
Okay. 我跟大家再说一下，补充一下哈。你看这个炸的、油炸的。
Let's add something, and this is fried triangular food. It is called samosa. It's from Arab countries, so it is a foreign cuisine. But it has a history of over 150 years, so it has become essential part of daily meals. So the filling, what about the fillings? It's the fresh beef. And also, we can see onions. It's tasty. And also, we can see the coriander. I forgot one thing, to wash my hands. Most of the time, when we have breakfast, we eat samosa. We eat samosa and drink ticket at the same time when we have breakfast. So apart from the meat fillings, what kind of are there any other fillings? Also, some kind of beans. And for the vegetable fillings, we often put beans. An important step we have forgotten is to wash our hands, because later we should use our hands to have meals. Okay.
那先暂停一下吧，卫生起见哈。
So let's stop.
那我们说一下前菜吃完了。
For hygiene,
那一般进入主菜的话，会吃什么呢？
so what are
那这个就是今天的一个主角。
what are the main courses? And this is ugali. There are two types of ugali.
我先介绍一下什么是ugali吧。
The white one.
这个像大家看
So
到
I'd
的
like to
两个
first
块
introduce
状
what
的
is
哈
ugali.
就捏起来呢还是有点
These are the
软
two
的
solid
这个
things.
食物呢就是肯尼亚的最主要的主食。
And it's soft.
中国人来说是大
It's
食
the
的地位
major
就
main
一天肯定
course.
是
It's like a rice for
每餐
Chinese.
两餐至少2餐吧是离不开这个ugali的。
At least
对
two
这
meals.
个ugali 呢不是咖喱，
Your
不是日式那个印度的咖喱
dishes, your meals are inseparable from
其
ugali.
实呢是拿玉米
It just ugali is not the gali in India. It's made from corn.
来
And from a video, we can learn from the steps to make ugali.
你看这个ugali它的烹调方式其实是很简单的，就先选好这个优
It's
质的
easy to
玉米
cook
干
ugali.
的
First,
玉
you
米
should
对吧？然后拿
choose
机子给它
dry
磨一下，磨成
corn
粉，特别细的粉。然
yes.
后一般
And
的玉米
first,
呢
you
磨
should
出来
grind
粉
it
是
into
白色的
powder.
看然后磨完了之后
Generally,
做的过程就是把水
the powders are
煮开了
white.
之后往里加一点
And
点
during
把
the
面粉
processing,
然后边加
later
的时候
you
边拿一个
add
东
some
西这个东西
powders,
叫什么
the corn powders into it. Later you will use
梅果，梅果，
migo. You use migo
搅拌的这
to
个
stir
工序
it.
搅了之后呢，就是你可以看到这个玉米
After
面变得越
stirring
来越
it,
稠哈
you can see
最后
that
是
the
等它
corns
冷
are
却之
become
后
stitchy.
变了硬了
So
就可以
when
取
it
出
cool
来
down,
就可以
it will
吃了
become hardened,
那
and you can fetch
要
it
加
and you
盐
can
加
eat it.
调味料吗？
不会加。
Should you add some salt, rather
我们
ingredients? No.
像这个白色就是纯玉米面的，然后旁边这个
This
红色
white is the pure corn
这个
powder.
红色呢，它里面是加了小米，就是非洲
And
的一个
for
小
the
米
red
啊
one,
它就有点红色啊。
there are
这个服务
some
员今天特别好，他给我们带来这个洗手的
millet
洗一下手吗？
from Africa. Let me wash my hands.
拿过来的是那个最近啊，肯尼亚特别冷，今年天气好像比较反常，是吧？
Because it's cold. It's extraordinary weather, and the coldness has lasted for a long time.
他们也拿过来了，就是肯尼亚人每天必喝的奶茶，这个待会儿也想跟大家。
And they have also brought with them tea and milk. Tea with milk.
一般是怎么
It's also one of their favorite food. So how to eat ugali? You use your hands.
ugali 吃肯尼亚的传统菜的最好的工具就是手，对吧？
对对对，就用这种。
The best tool to use to eat the traditional food of Kenyans are
用
hands.
什么吃还不如用手吃最
If
好。
you use knives and forks, you may lose some
味道。
kind of
比如说我这样
local
切
features. So you use your hands.
给一个特写哈，
It's
其
interesting.
实挺有讲究的，就是
So
不
let's
是这么一大
look
块
at
儿你拿个
look at
什么
it.
刀叉去切一小块儿，然后
It's
你
not
慢
like
慢
to
地吃
use
这样
just
是拿
a
手
so
呢掰一小块
block,
给
so
做
big
好
block,
完
and
了
you
之后
use your
要
hands
捏
to
要捏它，先
to fetch a small snatch of it.
就是更韧的一个质感来，然后呢，你看现在就是
To make
感觉
it
像一个
harden.
面团儿一样，然后呢，
It's
用大
like
拇
a
指摁一下
powder,
摁一下，摁出一个那个兜儿来，他们说，然后呢
and
干
you
嘛？
press it,
然后配一点绿色蔬菜哈，比方我想吃这道绿色蔬菜，
and we can, for instance, I want to eat such vegetables.
啊
Can
就
you
是拿这个兜儿呢
make an
去
example,
去
Mr.
舀
Peter?
这个
Can you set
把
an
这个
example, Mr. Peter? You
咖
can
喱做出来，我做得不
use
是
the
很好
ugali to
有点捏碎了，
to make
不是很熟练，哎
to，make it
然后就是舀那个绿
You're
色
not
蔬菜，然后呢
so proficient at it.
碎到里边，OK。你再示范一个好的吧，我可能不是一个很好的。
Can you set a good example? I'm not so good at it.
你人家手给个特写，让这样子可以看到是怎么捏的。我听说就是人们判断哈
So give it a feature.
，ugali 就是好的。
Let's look at it closely.
做完了之后不散架是吧？特别有粘性。
So the best
是啊。
怎么来评断
the best technique is that when you
怎么来判断它？
you press the ugali and it will not be scattered, so it's so
就是 what's the standard
tasty.
ugali? Well made. When you judge someone if they're good at cooking ugali or not.
不要，我不要，这应该是应该不一样，应该那个分这样，应该有点嫩。Yeah, just it should be like it should not separate like this. Okay?
It's not be separated like this.
Together.
Okay.
It should be tight, hold tight together.
Okay. 所以
So-
严格来说呢，就是根据这两位当
So
地人，他们
strictly,
说，
according
这样的
to the
ugali
two
可能
locals,
做的最好的，做
the
得好的
ugali
话
like
它应该
this
不
is
散
not the
架
best
就是
one.
非常的有韧性，对吧？
The best one is not
然后
scattered and
这
it's
个 ugali 的
it's
原材料
tight.
因为是玉米嘛，然后玉米呢在
The
非洲可以
original
说是
ingredients are
广泛
corn.
地被种植，特别是在撒哈拉以内
In
地区
Africa,
尤
it's
其是在
widely
一些
grown,
干旱的
especially
地区呢
sub-Saharan
有
Africa,
非常容易
especially in
产
some
活
dry
而且它
areas.
这个价
The
格比较低
corns
廉
are easily
做完了之
grown
后，这个玉米面呢又很容易保存，所以啊，这是
and
撒
they're
哈拉以
cheap.
南的
So
非洲
and
国
they are
家
also
数以
easily
千
stored.
万计
So
的
in
千百万计
sub-Saharan
的
African
人民
countries
赖以
and
生存的一大主食之
tens
一
of millions
然后
of
这个
people
ugali 它
rely on the
就是
main
做了
on
之
this
后它其
food.
实很有饱腹感，是吧？我吃了之后
It
就
also
因为它
give
不
you a
加任何的
sense
调
of
料嘛，跟
fullness.
咱们光吃米饭一样
So
它是没有咸味儿的。
it's like a rice.
怎么说呢？仔细品尝，多嚼一点，感觉有一点点爆米花的味道，是吧？
So taste it carefully. You have
就
a
还
sense
是很
of
香。而且就
popcorn.
吃这，我个人的食量来说，吃这么一块就很饱了。像你的话，你能吃多少？
Like you, how much can you take?
2倍，这就用2倍。这男的比较男的
Two times of
比较
it.
我觉得这个
So
不分男女，我觉得肯尼亚人喜欢
males
吃这个。
would
我
like
曾
to
经
eat
看到一个
more.
肯尼亚的
I think
7、8岁的小男
Kenyans
孩，
eat
很小
more.
很小
I can
很
see
瘦
that
但是能吃这么
a
一
small
大块
boy, 7 to 8-year-old, can eat a big bowl of it, and for the girls or the females would not like so much. I think the ugali will give you much energy, and you will give a sense of fullness.
这也是这个肯尼亚的中长跑
So that is why
为什么那么喜欢吃它
the middle and long distance
很长的时间
athletes would like to eat them because a small part of it to give you lots of energy to support the long distance running. They have an investigation that if you have eaten such kind of food, the organic food, vegetables, will tap the greatest potential of their body. So if you are interested in it, you can come to Kenya to have a taste of it. The stewed food, the stewed vegetables, are often eaten together with ugali. You can also set a good example for it. First, you press it repeatedly.
按平，对，可以用这些菜，或者可以用小马肉就。
Then you snapped it.
就相当于咱们国内是那个拿大饼
So,
来卷菜吃那种感觉。
in our country, we use the big cake to make scrolls of vegetables. So, it is rarely seen in China. Can you please introduce it? Mr. Luca, please introduce what are the specialized, the special vegetables. This vegetable is called kundi.
Spinach 跟 skuma wiki。
Spinach.
我们都喜欢这个棍的，这个
We all like this.
这个也算叫sugar。
This is also sugar. Let's have a taste of it.
有一点点酸，有点酸。
A little sour.
怎么做
Indeed.
酸还是做的过程当中变得酸？
How do you make it? Is it sour originally? It was made yesterday.
做然后等了1天或2天再能吃。
And we can eat it after 1 or 2 days when we have made it.
煮的，就放在锅里头，然后要煮会花了半个小时左右吧。
you should boil it for half an hour in order to make it well. And you eat them together with ugali, so it will become sour after 1 or 2 days. So it's a process of fermentation. And this one is one of my favorite green vegetable of Kenya. One is ugali, the other thing is spinach. Two vegetables are mixed together. So let's first see. This is the fresh skooma. It's a little like. It's not from what I know. It's different from what I know. It's not the traditional vegetables in our country. Skooma in Africa is widely grown, and Africa has 2,000 years of eating skooma. It's not from the Western countries. Skooma has lots of fibers and vitamins, so it's healthy food, healthy and low-calorie food. Skooma, together with ugali, though they are not, they will not make you lose weight, but it's good. It's a good cuisine. So why wiki is added? It means weekly. So each day we eat them each day. Skooma weekly. It's so cheap. It's 1 or 2 yuan. It's enough. Every family use it. So wiki. One thing is that what wiki means that it's cheap and you can eat it every meal, and also it's tasty. You can eat it repeatedly. It's also famous. It's called githeri. Peter, can you please introduce us what are the ingredients in githeri? First, I want to say that and the ethnic group is called Kikuyu. It's the traditional meal. I'd like to add some information. Kikuyu and Kenyan is a multi-ethnic group country, and Kikuyu is one of the biggest race, and the president is also from Kikuyu race. It's so in Kenya, Kikuyu like to eat this githeri. There are corns inside. Also, all kinds of beans. First, you should put corns on fire, stew together with the beans. Then you add some soybean oil, and then some spices. Later, you add some tomatoes. Sometimes you can add some potatoes or carrots. I found in Kenya the stewed food, people like to add tomatoes, cut onions, and peppers, tomatoes, cabbages, and carrots are often added into the deep meals. How often do you eat githeri? Each week, I would like to eat githeri 3 times for 1 week.
在肯尼亚也不是说对于每家
Having
每户来说
meals,
不是说
having meat
特别
for
能
every
吃得起是吧
household
对于普通人家来说，吃肉还是有一
is
点点
not
奢侈的
affordable
所
for
以大
each
部分
family
那个肯尼亚
because
人就是可能
having meat
中产
is
阶
a
级以下
little
的这些
luxurious.
民众
So
他们摄取
for
蛋白质
most
的主要来源啊，还在于
Kenyans,
这个豆类。
the most
因为
proteins
dairy
are
呢是一
from
个非
beans.
常重要的
So
一个蛋白质
theory
的来源
is an
这也是
important
就是
source of
中长跑
protein
冠军
for
他
the
们
common
经常吃
people.
的
So that
豆
is
类
why
可
the
能吃肉对于
champions
他
of
们
middle and
长
long
跑盛
distance
产的地区应该
running
是肯尼亚
like
的
to
中
eat
部吧
them.
中部就是
So
高原的地
the
方，
champions
对
are
吧？
all
一个
from
叫卡伦金
major,
卡伦
mainly
金
from
这个
the
民族的人
central
就是
part of
腿
Kenya.
特别特别细长，然后跟腱很长，
A
跑起步
race
来
has
是
very
非常
long
这个
legs
民族经常是这个
and they have long
全年世界中长
endurance.
跑冠军、马拉松冠军，就是他们也很喜欢吃这道菜，是吧？
Like to eat this food.
像我们先把这个桌上还有的这个大硬菜，这个鱼说一下。就肯尼亚人吃鱼很多吗？
So there are some meat here.
有两
Do
种民族都喜
Kenya
欢
eat
吃
fish very
鱼
often? Two races like
第
to
一个
eat
民族是
fish.
就是我来自那个路亚，
啊，你是路亚
The
路亚，
first
我是
race is
路亚的
from I'm from Luya.
啊，是肯尼亚西部的一个民族。
有
It's from
路亚和
Western Kenya,
都爱吃鱼。
因为你们是
Luya and
我
Haulu
们在
often like to eat fish.
大家就是每一个地方它这个
We live near the lake. So in every local place, people have different tastes depending on their local places because the terrains are different in different parts of Kenya. For instance, in the eastern part of Kenya, people like to eat seafood because they are near the coasts. At the central part of Kenya, there are the volcanoes and there are also plains. They would like to eat beef. In the western part, there are Victoria Lake. People like to eat river food, the fish from the rivers. So let's have a taste. We have forgotten the food. We snatch it using hands. You can snatch it directly, or you can use ugali to snatch it. I think it's more sticky than the white ugali. It's not so easily scattered. When you press it flatly, you snatch it with a ugali.
问得很好，受表扬了。
我们这里这种鱼，这个叫 tilapia 最有名。这些鹿和
This is called jirabi.
特别喜欢吃这个。
Very famous. Lu and Luya like to eat them so much.
叫 tilapia， 这个可能是来非洲旅
This is
行
tilapia.
经常会在菜单上看到的，就是
Tourists would often see it on the menu
常见的就
and
像这个
different cooking
就是
ways.
先炸一遍是吗？生
The
炸。
most common
你可以从这个鱼上也
method is like this, to fry it.
个儿很大，有比这
It's so
种
big.
块头还大的吗？
有啊，
这个算是中等还是小的？
Are there any fish, any kinds of fish bigger than this?
这个是中等大小。
中等的，对对。
It's a medium one.
大比这个，
So what are the bigger ones?
哦，大的能
大比这个一半。
还有大一倍
1.5 times of it.
那可能得更多的人一起吃了。然
So
后
you need more
这个的话
people to
是
have
加
it.
了 coconut 的一个浇的一个椰子汁儿是吧？
对，然后我们
Also, there are coconut
这个
juice.
我们有两种做法。
When you cook it,
看这个
there are two
这个
methods.
如果在饭店点这个，需要说
This represents one method.
tilapia wet fry.
If you are in the restaurant, if you want order the wet one,
是 dry.
wet fried, and that one is dried.
两种做法，叫
There are wet method and
这个点法，你就说你要
dried
那个
method.
干的 tilapia，它就会给你上这个是炸的。
If you want to
如果说
order
我要
dry
湿的非洲大鲫鱼，它就给你上
tilapia, you
浇
will
汁儿
get
的
the fried one. If you want the wet one, you'll get the one with the juice. I think this fish, for the Chinese people easily have this, can easily adapt to it. Two of you have been to China. Do you think they are similar with the Chinese fish? It tastes almost the same. It do not have a heavy taste. It's fragrant because there are tomato, also onions. And this fish also has little fish bones. It's dry. Let's have a taste. When you have meals in Africa, especially in the Eastern Africa, they often use lemon because the fish maybe stink. And the lemon sometimes will give you a flavor of sour, a sour flavor. With the lemon, sometimes the fish is stink. So if you use lemon, you can remove such flavor. How about it? What about the skin? It tastes well. I'll have it too. I think it has a heavier taste than this, especially the skin. The skin is toasted. For tourists who come to Kenya for the first time, would not be used to use their hands to dine, but if you have spent enough time, it will like easily for you to have friends here, because if you use hands, you will have a good atmosphere. We'll put ugali in the central part of the table, and everybody would like to have it with the ugali. It has a very important position. It's like a rice, and every other dish is surrounds it. So how about lamb? Is it the entrails of the goat? Yes. They're more tasty than this because I do not like entrails very much, but this one tastes well. They are fried actually. Almost no stink. Because most Kenyans are nomadic tribes, so they raise lots of goats.
有哪个民族？这些民族叫什么呀？他们喜欢羊，马赛，去马赛族，喜欢羊。马赛呢，可能是大家就是来肯尼亚之后去草原观光的时候看到的比较多。
Masai ethnic group is one of the ethnic group that has the large population in Kenya. If you come to Masai, and you come to Kenya, they often like to wear the kasa, and the classical colors are red and black. They are high. They're good at jumping. Males, when they're grown up, they should kill a lion. This is the habit. This is a custom in the past. now, with the awareness, with people more aware of the importance of protecting animals, and this tradition has almost been abandoned, so they rely on the wildlife resources to make money. I cannot agree more. I would like to lead my Chinese guests to come to the area where the Masai people live. If a male has grown as a custom, he will kill a lion and get the head back home. Only when he has done this, he can go back home. If he fails, he should find another lion to kill it, and then, so in order to be established, he will get the life of a lion to prove himself. The entails of the goat, the fish is 8.2 points, for if the full points are 10. This is 8.410 points. At weddings or other ceremonies, if you want to pursue a girl, can see that if you give the entails of this to us, then we can agree that we can give our girls to you. If you do not give us these things, we will not give that. And so it's called the wedding gift. So if you want to get married, this family of the male should give the female family some entails of goats. Each race would have their own need of entails. Some races said that they need liver, so every race is different. So what's your race? I'm Kikuyu. It's a mainstream race. We like heart. We not like intestines, we like heart. So another entail is the cattle liver. What is the cooking method? Is it fried? First stewed. There is some oil. We spend 15 minutes, and then it's done. To use the ugali, to snatch it, it's so big. The liver is so hard. It's so tough. We can have a little. We like to eat them. It's nutritious. It's so tasty. I have also broken my rule, and its score is also 8.4. The Chinese people would also like to eat it. So the Chinese friends, if you come to Kenya, you can also order a dish of cattle liver. What's this? It's fried mutton. It's toasted. It's from the goat. It's fried.
这个是羊，
是那个沙拉卡琼巴里是吧？
对，这差别。
This is Kachambali,
就是我
right?
想问一下哈，为什么肯尼亚你看到
And also, I would like to ask why in Kenya you can see so many
山羊
goats
呢，
and
它也有
so
一
and
种
the lambs are fewer.
我们大多数肯尼亚人都喜欢山羊。
山羊？
Most Kenyans
因为
like goats
绵羊有的味不好，它有一种味。
哦，有一种膻
because
味儿
lambs
这膻味
have a
对
different taste.
对。
Does not taste good.
喜欢吃那个山羊，
So we like
山羊相对来说
goats.
腥味儿、膻味儿会
比较
轻一点儿。
轻一点，轻一点。
So the goats are less stinky.
而且呢，我也发现是还有一个原因，可能是
Also,
山羊的生存能力特别
found
强。
another
它基
reason
本
is
什么
that the
都吃
goats
至少我在
will
肯
have
尼亚
higher
看到的山
survival
羊是这样
rates.
子可能有
They
时候
eat almost
路
everything.
边一些干草、枯草，然后甚至垃圾
Sometimes
它有时候也会吃。
The cabbage, they will eat
那
some
个草，
rubbish.
然后那个树叶，
The major food are tree
它这种
leaves
很
and
强的
grass.
生命力啊，能让它就是很安全的度过这个旱季。
So it's so tough. They are so tough. They can survive the dry
味道怎
seasons.
么样？
So when there are fewer fresh grass, they can live on other things.
肉质怎么样？
It's so tasty.
可以试一下吗？
You can also have a taste of it.
你看它的肉非常紧实，就一丝一丝的，
So its meat are
的确就
tough.
尝不到里面他们所说这个膻味儿，就处理的很好。
it's not stinky.
这道我觉得也是属于中国人会喜欢的一道菜。
And the Chinese people would also like to have this.
说一个题外话哈，你们在中国的时候喜欢吃中餐吗？
喜欢，我觉得
If you
我最喜
do you
欢
like
就
Chinese
是
dishes when you are in
叫
China?
炒饭
My favorite dish
鸡蛋
is
炒饭，
鸡蛋炒饭，
就是因为
喜欢的好朴实。
太简单了。
it's rice with eggs.
中餐是什么呢？我们一直在接触
So what are the Chinese food that do you think that the Kenyan people would like
除了刚才你说的鸡蛋炒饭，
apart from the rice with
我
eggs?
看了留学生都喜欢这个西红柿。
Most overseas students would like to eat
还有
eggs with tomatoes. Well, you like
还有
our
什么
national
跟
cuisine.
那个米
I like it.
大米有关系，米饭啊，什么菜有
And
如果
rice.
有米饭，那他们就会喜欢。
If there are
而
rice,
且就是肯尼亚
they would like to eat.
其实很不一样，对吧？吃起来。
Kenyan rice are different from the Chinese rice.
算一个特写，就是肯尼亚的米呢比较
You can get a closer look
它
at
是属
it.
于
Kenyan
属于
rice are
长
long.
条的，比较细，然后呢做起来之后吧，就颗粒不像中国
The
米那么
slim
饱满，而且呢容易就是干。
It's not
其
so
实就是
full
用来做
as
这个炒饭挺
the
好的。
Chinese rice.
因此呢，
It's
我们
good
想让
for
那个编辑插一张
making
画
fried
面，
rice.
就是肯尼亚比较出名的哈，中国人可能也会很喜欢的一道传统菜叫
The
pilau，
Chinese
就是
people would
肉
like
饭，
to
对吧？那
eat
有意思的
pilau.
是，这个肉饭呢，它
It's
其
the
实也不
rice
算是
with
肯尼亚
meat.
就是历史
The
传
rice
下来
with
的一道
meat.
一道
It's
本
not
土
a
菜，是受到
historical
外来的影响
meal.
才有
It's
的，
not
是
a
吧？
local meal.
看
It's
老师你介绍
influenced
一下。
by the
那个
outside world.
pilau 呢
Can you
这个
please
pilau
introduce
是
us
一种米
below?
饭呢，它的做法跟这个
It's a
米饭
kind of
不一
rice.
样，因为米饭呢 pilau 加一个香
Because
料
pilau
加一个肉，
对，
然后那个颜色也会变，这个颜色面深的。
我看它
然后
加
It will become darker, darker.
对
加那个姜黄，加哎呀，我一下子
然后那个
很多印度
对
香料，
对印度
因为它是从
印度过来的。
是因为
They're fennels.
中国就殖民肯尼亚
They're from
很多
India
那个外来的印度
because
劳工是吧？
是的
然后他们印度人
Because when
把这
the
个文化带过来
UK
然后在100多
colonized
年前就
here,
开始慢慢
they have
就
brought
是
some Indian laborers 100 years ago. Slowly, they have influenced local habits.
来自那个孟巴斯那个海边，
啊在
这些人呢都喜欢
Especially they're from Mombasa
吃那个
coast. These people would like to eat pilau.
因为100多年前
I know
殖
why.
民地开始建
Because
造肯尼
100
亚
years
第一
ago,
条铁路的时候，乌干达
UK
铁路就是从
colonies,
蒙巴萨这个港开始的嘛
Uganda
就是在
Railway
蒙巴萨沿海
starts
那块儿
from
所以当时
Mombasa
很多
port.
印度的劳工
It's
呢
along
就
the
是
coast of Mombasa, so
扎根在
many
蒙巴萨，
Indian
然后向外
laborers
就是拓
took
展嘛延
roots
伸，
in
然后他
Mombasa.
们就把自己的这个饮
Later,
食
they
文化大大地
expanded
影响了
from
肯尼
that
亚的这个
region.
东
and their dining habits have influenced the coastal areas in southeastern part of Kenya. Another thing that has become a common dish is the cake like this.
连这个词儿其实也都是印度的词儿是吧？
It's also an Indian name.
这个 chapati 其实你帮我打开一下，我手有点看着不好。
It's chapati.
咱们这个是面粉做的。
It's made from wheat, from flour.
它就是薄薄的一层。
对对对，这个
It's so thin. 它就 eat it because we can see there are no fillings. What kind of flavor?
没有，就是这些。
Are there any flavor apart from salt and oil?
应该会很好吃。我也来点好。我也喜欢吃这个肝儿，真的让我。
Also, I would like to
可能
eat this
从此我
liver.
变成吃内脏的人了。
Later, I would like to eat the entails.
一边吃这个一边喝茶。
You can eat it together. At the same time, you can drink tea. So it is one part of the breakfast, and the northern Chinese people would like to eat this. It's so tough.
我觉得这个可以打9分。这个
I can give it 9 points. Chapati. I'll give you 10 points.
就是 chapati。对对对。
My favorite dish, my favorite meal is this. My favorite cuisine is this. I like to eat beans. You can eat it together with the beans, and it's a perfect meal. How many meals do Kenyan people have? Often 3, and in some poor areas, not 3. Commonly, we eat breakfast, lunch, and breakfast, and dinner. At breakfast, we eat ugali and vegetables, and at dinner, we'll change it. So, this is necessary for breakfast. It is. I'd like to recommend you the milk with tea. I personally like it very much. I would like Kenyan milk with tea more.
成分非常简单，就不像国内做的现在很流行的网红奶茶
The
店啊，加
ingredients
了
are
很
simple.
多的糖分，就是
It's not
国
like
外的一些
domestic
化学的东西，不是
milk
很
with
纯
tea.
天然。它这杯啊，能量其实
It's not purely natural.
然后
It has low calorie.
是肯尼亚经典的红茶，然后加水之后
It's
再
a
加什么？还有
classical
加奶，还有加 糖。
red tea,
加糖。
black tea. It has an
大部分
aroma.
都是这些。
You can add some sugar.
奶加水啊，然后就加糖，就是这些。
就是这样。
对对。
可能有个别人有自己特殊喜好的话，他可能会加一点点那个香
Some
料，是吧
people, if
也
they
非
have
常
the
少量
special
主要就是为了提味儿。
taste,
那就是这
would
么
like
淳
to
朴的
add
2
some
样主料，一个奶，一个茶叶，这
spices,
个味道
milk and tea leaves.
非常的浓厚清香。也可能是因为肯尼亚的牛奶
The aroma is so strong.
什么都是有机的。
Maybe because Kenyan milk is so tasty and everything is
会
organic.
这样的吗？
西藏可能
牛茶。
不太一样，这个要低一点点。
So it's different from Tibet. Tibetan people like to eat milk with oil.
它盛产这个咖啡。
According to my
它是
observation,
咖啡的
though,
世界1大产国，然后也是
Coffee
茶的那个世界第3大产国，
is
其次
a
中国
major
跟印度。但其实肯尼亚人并
exporting
喝咖啡
products of
远远不及
Kenya.
喝茶多，对吧？很多时候都是以
Kenyan people
茶来代水，
like
可以不喝水，但是必须要
tea
喝茶
more.
然后像
For one
是的
day,
是
they
肯尼
would
亚
like
族
to
的人
eat.
就是
They
生
can
活吃
they
贫
can
贱的这
eat
些人吧
tea
一天
if
可
they
能
do not
只能
have
吃一
drink
顿饭的情
water
况下
for the poor
他早餐
family. If
这
they
个
eat
茶
one meal,
是还是不能
for
落
one
下的
day,
证明这个茶对于肯
tea
尼亚
is
人来说
necessary
有
for
多重要
breakfast. So
然后一
tea
般
is
除了
important for
喝这个茶
Kenyans.
之外还会配什么呢？
Apart
你刚刚说
from
的是
tea,
或者
what other
是
things?
还有面类的，这
Chapati
个
and
叫
also
mandazi， 这个
flour. This is mandazi.
相当于是炸油包是吧？
对，在那个油条吧。
啊，是
现国内就叫油条呀，对这样。
油条就是肯尼亚版的油条，但就是圆的。
It's like a
这个不是
fried
条状，这是
breadstick
油块儿。
in China. It's a fried bread
然后它里
block.
面是没有馅儿的是吧？你打开一下，你打开一下。
They do not have fillings.
就这样，是空的，是吧？
It's empty.
对吧？再给我一点。然后就是怎么吃呢？你要蘸吗？还是就直接吃？
就这样。
啊，就直接
这些
吃。
早饭的时候也可以吃这
You
个。
could dip it or you eat directly.
里面有一点糖。
有一点点甜。
甜。
一丁点的甜味儿，就恰到好处，能够
A
平
little
衡这种
sweet
口感。我觉得
to
这个也是
balance
中国人会很喜欢的。
this kind of flavor, and Chinese people would like to eat
这
this.
些，mandazi 和
This morning, I just eat this mandazi and the black tea. I remember one thing: the fried flour block, but with sugar on the cover,
满的。
with etiquette mampari.
那个
Hamari 啊 Mahamari
就是这些。
Mahamri.
Mahamri 这些
Mahamri is
就
this.
叫这个蒙巴萨。
你看
Mombasa called it.
OK， 那就这里
It's
就
the
是一
same
个
thing.
很有意思的事情了。我以
So
为
it's an
还有
interesting
另外一种这个
thing.
炸油条哈，
I
但其实
believe
他
there
告
are
诉我就
other
是同样的炸
types
油
of
条，但是在不同的地区
fried
有不同的叫法。
stick.
也是因为肯尼亚它
But
是
in
一个
different
多民
places,
族
they had
的，
different
然
names
后每
because
个地域之间
Kenya
文化
is
差
a
异蛮大的一
diversified
个国
ethnic
家
group.
所以在每个地域对同一
And
种食
Kenya
物呢
has
有不同的称
multiple
法。
ethnic
就
groups.
像刚才我们吃的最主要的这个，对。
For each group, they have different names in different local places. For Mombasa, we call it Mahali. We call it Mandeli.
不一样。
然后像
So
ugali，
for
刚才
those
回到我们
living
最
in the
初介
coastal
绍的
areas,
这
they
个
call it
白色的
ugali.
ugali 哈，刚才也提到了，
So
它是
the white ugali,
因为
我们这
它是
边叫五咖喱，
Mombasa call it
到另
Sidimba.
那个另外的地方就叫西马。
In Mombasa, in other local places, it's Sima.
不是那个五咖喱。
到那边，然后在饭店你要点这样的，然后你就说 ugali。有的时候
In
他们听不懂
restaurants, you can order ugali.
需要用那个专门的词呀。
They cannot understand you.
就
You can just
这个
use
ugali 呢
Sima.，
我刚才也提到了，它是撒哈拉以南非洲国家就是
Mentioned
数千万计的这个民众赖以生
countries in
存的一种主
sub-Saharan
食，它
Africa,
是一个玉米淀粉做
Tens
的
of thousands,
一
millions
个
of
非
people
常简
rely
单
on it.
的，相当于咱们大米一样地位的食物。在很多
It's
国
like
家都
rice
是
for
广泛
Chinese.
被吃的，但是可能质地呢会稍微
Many
不一样，像
countries,
肯尼亚的
they
呢
are
会稍微
widely
硬一
grown.
点，但是在别的非洲国家，
But
像
in
南部
Kenya,
非洲
it's
国家，
more-
它就会
it's
软一
harder.
点，就加更
But
多
in
的水，
southern
对
part
吧
of
然后
Africa,
名字呢
it
也
will
会
made
因各地的
softer.
叫法不
People
同。
would like
像
to add
你刚
more
才说的，即
water.
使在肯尼亚
The
同一个
different
国家里，它
names
的叫法也
would
不
be
一样。
different in different local places.
像大部分地区就叫乌咖喱，对吧？然后沿海地区是叫那个
Most
西马
people call
对
it
我知道
ugali.
在
And
赞比
coastal
亚
people
南
like
部
to
非
call
洲
it
地区
Sima.
叫
In southern part of Zambia, it's also called Sima.
还有叫萨
And
扎，对
Saza
我忘了是
is
哪个
also
国家
called.，
反正也是一样，但稍微
I
比
forgot
软一点
which
软一
country.
点版本的乌咖喱，所以这个呢是大家到了非洲之后必须要尝试一
So
下
if you come
的
to
主食。
Africa,
那
you
我
can
们
have
说
a
了这
taste
么
of
多
it.
哈，还想从
After
大体
talking
上
so
了解，
much,
你看肯尼亚每个地区他们
we
主
can
要会
learn
吃什么，就像
in each
中国
region
有几大菜系
what
啊
food do they
川
eat.
菜
It's
啊
like
粤菜啊，
what are the major dishes in China?
像
Is,
肯尼亚有
for
分
instance,
这样的菜
Sichuan
系，你
cuisine.
说吗？
Do Kenya has categorized?
按
Does
那
Kenya
边地区来分
categorize?
呢我们来自西边那边的。
We're from the western part of Kenya.
都爱吃五咖喱
Aluya
鱼
like to
然后
eat
在
ugali and
那
fish.
个中部的只有这个
In central part,
中部
there are only
这里
Digeri
是火山，
because there are
然
volcanoes.
后有另外的地方，就大裂谷那块儿，就是
In other places,
就是有一个名字叫 Kalenjin， 他们呢，他们都喜欢喝牛奶，或者长堡的那
in
个
Rift Valley, people like to drink milk,
酸的，就酸的。
这个也是
especially
来做调研的时候发现的，他们
the yogurt.
长跑运动员
And the scientists have the investigations here. The reasons, one of the reasons for they have the long distance champions is that they like eat beans and And fermented milk, it's so sour. And foreign people do not like to drink that, but local people, every day they would like to drink that. And they will give you lots of energy. Have you drunk it? I like it so much. My family also like it. I raise cattle and lamb. You're rich? Yes. Every day, I would like to drink a cup of that. A cup of yogurt made by ourselves. And we should put it after 3 to 4 days, and the flavor will change. A natural thing, that the black thing, is a kind of bacteria. You can put that bacteria into it. Is it the same from the restaurant? It's different from what we have made at home. In the restaurant, the supermarket does not so enjoyable, so delicious cuisine. In the central part of Kenya, you can have potatoes like this. And potatoes is also a main course, like rice. If you come to the local restaurant, tomatoes are essential. It's called mokemo. It also needs tomato. A central part of Kenya, potato is famous. I believe Kenyan potatoes are tasty. It ranks the front in the list of the world. Be it the potato flour powder or fried potatoes. It tastes so well. Also, there are erial. It's called potato vegetable puree. It's a picture on this camera. There are some local activities. It's the powder of potatoes and vegetables. If you come to the weddings of the local people, the potatoes are essential. Are they appetizers or the major courses? This is regarded as the main course. A staple food. In our race, we call it kahorora. What's it? Our race give it different names. Different races have different difficulties in communications. That race has the biggest number of names. His race is the biggest one. Mine are the second biggest. So what are the major vegetables in here? Tomato powders. The cabbage, tomatoes, onions. You can also add some githeri. The cooking methods include stew, boiling, and frying. And what are the other cooking methods? Frying, boiling, toasting. With regard to toasting, a very important cuisine is Masai toasted meat. And everybody will be excited when it comes to toasting, a barbecue. For those who are living in cities, they will go to the outer skirts of the cities to buy some lamb,
就是已经不满足
buy
去
some
饭店
goats
吃，
to
直接去
toast it
稍
themselves.
微郊外的地
So
方去
they're not just
稍微便宜一点的价
satisfied
格买一
in
整头羊是吧？
in
然后来做这
eating
个
the
烤羊。大家可以看到哈，这个实际上
toasted
我们这边
food
也没有
in
这个马赛烤
supermarkets.
肉的这道菜，所以请麻烦编辑插一张图让大家看一下。这个马赛烤
And we
肉
do
呢
not have
是
the
肯尼亚非常出名的
Masai
一个少数民族。
toasted
刚才我们也
meat.
提了好几遍，叫马赛
Masai
这个族，他
race
们
is a
最开
famous
始吃的一种食物，传统食物。因为马赛呢是一个游牧民族哈，他们
Because
就是常年
Masai
在
is
草
a
原上就是放牧为生，他们放的主要是牛跟那个羊、山
Dramatic
羊是吧
tribe. They
他们主要的
raise
这
cattle
个
and
摄
goats.
取蛋白质的来源呢，除了这个牛奶、羊奶
The
之
major
外
source of protein,
还有那个
apart
牛
from
羊血
the
哈，就是这个靠吃牛肉跟
milk,
羊肉。然后他们的
they
做法
also
一般就
have
是
blood.
在草地上弄一块空地出来，然后呢柴火放进去，
They will
做一
make
个
a
篝火，
vacant
点燃一团篝火之后，
grass,
上
a
面就直接把
grassland,
这个整排
and they will
整块的这
light
个羊肉
some
或牛肉就
fire,
扔上去，就是这
and
么烤
then
的是吧？然
the
后烤完
whole
了之后就
block of
再给它切成
beef
小块儿
or
然后
mutton will be
炸着
put
吃
into
然后它
onto
这个
that
当地
fire
名
to
字呢叫
be
nyama choma，对吧
我们就叫nama choma。
？nyama 是什么意思？choma 又是
nama
什么意思？
就是肉
to
的
be
意思
toasted, and
choma 就
it's
是
called
烤的
nama
意思
choma.
呃
Choma
所以它
is
这个
toast
名字也
means
很
toasting.
直截了
Choma
当，
means
就是
meat.
肉烤，
So the
对吧
names
就是当地的斯
are
瓦希里语
direct. The meanings are direct.
nama 就是
It's
肉
the Swahili
然后烤
language.
choma
Nama
然后
toasting means
比方哈
choma.
跟一个当地朋友特别好的时候，你说，哎，我这周请你吃 nyama
If you
choma，哇，他就
have
会觉
good
得我们
relations
俩
with a
关系
local
真
friend,
挺。
this
我
week would
他
like
能
to
请我吃
invite you
nyama
to
choma，
have
这个
kwama
这个
choma,
是
and then
很
it means
朋
they
友
will have
很
you
义
have
气的一
very
个做法
close
对吧？
friendship.
然后这道菜就是普通人吃的频繁吗？贵吗？
普通人
So
是算贵吧
Does Northern people like to eat very
因为比
often?
如
And
说
it's
1 公
very
斤你要
expensive
买或者
actually.
要买 nama choma 的话
For 1 kilo, if you want to buy makala chima, it takes you about
400先令
400
按
shillings.
按人民币应该是
It's about
30块钱一公斤
30
那就按
RMB.
对老百姓对老百姓收入来说算高一点。
For ordinary people, it's like it's expensive.
是个有钱人他会买，但是
For a rich person, they will buy
在
it.
中国
I found
买羊
that
肉
in
也比较
China,
贵啊。我们这里啊，
lambs are
买
expensive.
羊肉啊，还有叫什么鸡肉，也算是一个比较贵的。有些人啊，对对对，
Lambs
今天
and
可惜
chicken
没
are
有上这个鸡
expensive
肉的
here.
菜哈。其实肯尼
It's
亚
so
人最喜
pitiful
欢吃
that
的
we do not have chicken, and Kenyans
choma，
like kukuchoma.
这个意思。
Kuku means chicken in local language. So that is the Kenyan people would like to eat them, and they have different methods of cooking. They can fry the whole chicken or fry the fish.
欢迎大家以后
And
来
they
肯尼
have
亚的时候来
I
吃一
welcome
下。
you
我觉
to
得
have
今天这
chicken
期攻
if
略做
you
的蛮好
come
的，
to
都
Kenya.
大
I
家吃也
think
很开
today's
心。
program is so
临
well,
近这个
and
直播
people
的尾
are
声呢，
happy.
我也想问一下两位嘉宾
It's
哈，
nearing
对
the
于
end of this
来肯
live
尼亚的中国
live
游客们
streaming.
还有什
I
么
would
在
also
吃的方
like
面的
to
建议吗？
want to ask you one question.
建议
What
首
are
先
the
你来到
suggestions for the
肯尼亚
Chinese
首先你要
tourists?
尝一下去我们
First, if you like
当
come
地
to
的
Kenya,
本国的
you should
主
first
食
taste
也算就叫
local
ugali
staple
这个 ugali
food.
会配
It's
合
ugali,
就是第一是要
ugali,
这边第一是要
yamachoma.
会叫是
The
ugali
this
和
is the
尝他
first
们的
food
两个
one
硬
you
菜，
should
一个是
taste.
乌咖喱，一个是那个烤肉，
Two
马赛烤
tough,
肉。
two meat,
除了这之外，还有什么
Masai toasted
还有
meat.
鱼这边有那
What
个
are the
当地
suggestions?
那个传统那个蔬菜，有各种各样
The traditional
回想一下
vegetables,
对对对
there are various
Peter，你有什么
vegetables. You
建
can
议
have
吗
a
对于
taste.
以后来肯尼亚
Peter, do you have any suggestions for the Chinese
我跟
tourists later
我的看
when
法
they come
跟那
to
个卢卡卡的
Kenya?
老师一样的，来这里的
My
中国游客
viewpoints
们
are almost the
一定
same
要
with
尝试
Mr.
我们
Luke.
这里的
For
乌咖喱
tourists coming
还有那
here,
个大饼，
you should first
然
taste the
后
ugali
这些
and
肯尼亚的
the
特
cakes
色的蔬菜，然后烤肉是
and the
应该
vegetables
尝试
with
一个
Kenyan characteristics.
那像这个
Toasted meat is a must.
餐桌
So what about the table manners?
需要注意的吗？对于中国游客来说，
Are there any special
这个怎么
things you
说呢
should be careful?
没 没有什么大的需要注意。
No big deals.
就一开始就是要洗手啊。
First, do you have to let others have cuisines first, or the best part should be given to the most respected guest? Do they have such table manners? No. So people just eat freely, using your hands. Mr. Luca, do you have anything to add for the table manners?
观众要吃的时候，那卫生，就是要先要洗手，
You should wash your hands first.
习俗咱们那个肯尼亚的那个习俗习惯，看，有客来的时候先把饭给他。
When you have the guests, you should give them
表示你尊重
ugali first to express your respect. For instance, if you Yamachoma, which block of meat is the best, then the best meat part of meat will be given to the guests. For the ribbon meat, it is the best, and it will be first given to the tourists. According to that description, though, China is distant from Kenya, but for the cultures and the behaviors and mindsets are different. But the pursuit of delicious cuisines and the table manners are similar, and they are somewhat similar if you watch carefully. So our program just ends here. I hope through our program, A Taste on Kenya, you can learn their favorite cuisines, the traditional cuisines they like the most. Through our discussions, we have learned the habits behind the cuisines and the origins of these cuisines. I hope it is helpful for you. Thank you for your watching.